Hey Tabletop fans! Today we're going to be talking all about miniatures, what options are available for miniatures, and do you actually need them? The short answer is no, of course you don't need them. There's options available like Theater of the Mind, but the thing is, miniatures can be a lot of fun. Now I will say, me personally, going all the way back to the mid-80s and AD&D version 1.0, I've always used some kind of visual aid, so I've never done a pure Theater of the Mind. With AD&D 1, we actually used a piece of graph paper, and you just kind of progress through the dungeon, and triangles were characters and circles were bad guys. Fast forward to my gaming groups in the 2000s, and mostly what we've used is a Chessex mat. So on one side is squares, on the other side is hexes. You can draw on it, it's like dry erase, so you can erase it, and it allows you to place miniatures on the map. You don't have to use miniatures. We've used Lego pieces, Lego blocks, just to represent markers. And really the main purpose is just to know where you are in relation to other things. Now, as of late with kids, it's been a lot more fun to get into full-blown miniatures. They enjoy them. They're like little toys. For actual dungeon tiles, you can use WizKids Warlock tiles, which you see here in front of you. Or you can use, they sell various dungeon tile, just flat mats, game board style. Another place that I would recommend checking out is an online store called Mats by Mars. They make all kinds of mats, very cost effective. They even allow for custom terrains and custom orders. In terms of actual miniatures, in front of you here, this is our adventuring party, me and my family. Now, in terms of what's available, if you're just getting started, what I would personally do is buy a single pre-painted miniature if you're playing in a campaign. So this is an example. This is a human female rogue. It cost about $7. It's pre-painted, so you don't have to worry about any of that. If you're just needing a single character to use in a campaign, you can go to your local hobby store. They usually have them divided by races and classes, male or female. You can pick them out, what you'd like. And they have all kinds of pre-painted options available. Alternatively, you can buy much cheaper unpainted miniatures. So this is a WizKids example, 2 miniatures in a pack. This happens to be a vampire set. And these were $5 for a single box, which comes with 2 miniatures, 2 kids. They could paint them for $5. Could be a good investment, something to have fun with. The alternative brand is one called Reaper, and in their case they do have some that offer 2 in a pack. This one only has 1 and it was $3. In addition to D&D specific miniatures, you also have WizKids has a Pathfinder line, also 2 for $5, and this is a Critical Role line, which don't really care for the show but do enjoy the miniatures, 2 for $5 as well. The thing about the unpainted miniatures is it can be a costly hobby to try and get into painting miniatures. You have to buy the paints, the brushes, and pro tip, instead of a palette, what I would recommend doing is getting a piece of ceramic tile. They're about $1 each at Home Depot, and they work better than most palettes and clean up a lot easier. In addition to the various standalone single options, you can buy packs of pre-painted miniatures that usually come from different sets, Curse of Strahd, Wild Beyond the Witchlight, etc. Or you've probably seen us in some of our videos open up booster boxes. Now, a booster box like this is Dungeon of the Red Mage, costs anywhere between $15 and $20. If you pay more than that, don't, because you can get them online for cheaper. One of these comes with 4 miniatures. It is a blind box. They do come in varying degrees of common, uncommon, and rare, and sometimes you get larges and sometimes you get 4 smalls, but it's kind of a crapshoot. But for $15, 4 pre-painted miniatures, the way that we like to use these boxes is we'll open a box and it helps formulate our campaign sometimes. So whatever comes out of the box is what we plan on running into in that adventure. Additionally, if you're okay with painting miniatures, there's plenty of cheaper options out there on places like Etsy, where you have 3D printed miniatures of all shapes and sizes. One thing I will say about that is you have to be careful. A lot of them come very brittle, so the quality is all over the map on Etsy. I'll post a few links for places that I appreciate, that I bought from and have some really good quality. In addition to characters, you can also buy dungeon dressing. So one thing that we've bought in are a lot of beds. My wife really enjoys painting these. We bought in a fountain that you might have seen in some of our PvP videos, other shelves, dressers, tables, etc. And then in addition to the various 3D models that are offered for miniatures on places like Etsy, something that is really fun to do is go online and make your own miniature at a site like Hero Forge. Now, that just happens to be who we use. I know there's others out there. The miniature on the screen behind me is my character, Lucky the Gnome. I made him on Hero Forge. This is the miniature that was 3D printed and painted. Now, what I did, because I'm not a huge fan of dealing with a 3D printer, is I bought the STL through Hero Forge. We have a subscription. I believe we pay something like $15 a month, and we get 5 STLs for $15 a month. Now, what I was doing, there's a few different sites on Etsy that offer specifically Hero Forge 3D printing. I found somebody online that owns a company, toxicratsterrain.com. I'll post the link below. And I reached out to them directly to print me some 3D miniatures, and they came out fantastic. Now, they mostly deal in terrain, but if you email them through their website, they might be willing to do a custom order. Might be better to do things in bulk. Alternatively, there are several vendors on Etsy that have done a good job for me as well. Sometimes they can be pricey, sometimes you can find a good deal. As a final note on miniatures, one thing that I will say is the painting of miniatures kind of becomes its own hobby. We thoroughly enjoy it. It is fun with kids. The paint is all acrylic, so it is safe. However, it can be expensive. Now, what I would recommend doing is getting a starter kit, and this is honestly the one that I would recommend. It's the Game Master Character Starter Set by Army Painter. And I know some people like different companies better, Citadel, that sort of thing. The reason I like Army Painter is simply because mostly I'm painting with my kids, and it kind of allows you some control over how much paint is used. In addition to the paint, you'll also need the miniatures, a palette, which I recommended using those tiles from Home Depot earlier, and brushes. Now, brushes are something where if you're not careful, you could spend a lot of money. Especially if you're just getting started, what I would recommend doing is going to Walmart and picking up this set. It's Color by Me detail brushes. It was $4.99. Comes with quite a few detail brushes, and they do work pretty good. Now, I do have some nicer brushes as I've gotten more into painting, but one brush can cost up to $5. So if you're just starting out, I think this is the way to go. Another thing that I should mention is primer. So if you're buying some of these prepackaged minis from WizKids, a lot of them do come pre-primed, and it is good enough. I know some people would argue that point, but especially if you're just getting started, and with kids, we jump right into it with these boxes. Most of the time when you do priming online through somebody on Etsy or something like that, it's done in gray. I prefer black. Now, they do have both spray-on primer and brush-on primer. Definitely, if you want better painted figures, you want the spray primer. However, sometimes, especially when I'm working with my kids and we're painting a lot of miniatures fast, like a whole team for Blood Bowl or an army of some kind, I will use brush-on primer and just try and get through things as quickly as possible. So having gone through all of that, I can say that tabletop miniatures is almost its own hobby. And you could go down the rabbit hole of buying tons of paints, tons of figures from different set, getting things custom 3D printed. This could be a lot of fun. It could also be very expensive. If your only goal is to play a tabletop RPG, I do recommend getting a Chessex map and just drawing on as need be, dry erase markers. And you could get one miniature for yourself if you're just a player. You could use Lego blocks to represent various things on the map. It's all just for a matter of perspective and spatial recognition when playing an RPG. So again, I'll post several links below. Most of them should be pretty cost-effective links, places to find miniatures at a good price. For anybody who'd like more information, please feel free to reach out and ask questions, where I got something that you've seen in a previous video, what I would recommend brand-wise, etc. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope it helps you with your tabletop adventures in the future. Thank you so much for watching.